What are you doing?
I'm sanitizing my phone.
Okay, good, you're free.
Huh?
I need you to review this. It's okay lah. iPhone only.
Huh?
I need you to review this.
Wait, you want me to review this?
Yes, exactly.
What?
Do you have a laptop at home?
Uh-huh.
You use it, right?
Uh-huh.
You'll be fine. Okay, later, okay, huh? I need to go and buy the new thread first. See you
What?
later.
Wait, don't lie like this. I don't know how to do that. Shane, you're not leaving me, right? Shane, please don't leave me. Dalam dunia serba canggih kini, laptops that are powered by team-raised processors have been quite hong lately. Today we are going to be reviewing the Asus TUF Gaming A15 laptop with AMD Ryzen 9 4900H and RTX 2060 GPU, priced at RM5,889 ringgit. Without further ado, let's check out this laptop, and we are going to break it down into 4 main parts. Firstly, we are going to assess the aesthetics. Secondly, we are going to see the specs. Thirdly, we are going to break down the benchmarks. And fourthly, we are going to conclude the conclusion. So we'll see if this laptop is tough enough. Starting with aesthetics, this laptop comes in 2 colors, a bonfire black design accented with a red stripe, or fortress grey, which is the one that we are reviewing today. On top of that, there is a fine hairline texture that covers the interior of the laptop, adding a little visual interest. On the sides and the back, there are some vents for intake and exhaust airflow. At the bottom of the laptop, there are hexagon-shaped textured patterns that ASUS says will provide better grip for the bottom of the chassis. As you can see, some of those lines are cut out to help with ventilation for the laptop. There's been a lot of criticism and discussion about whether or not these cutouts are properly lined up with the laptop's thermal design. I guess we'll find out from the thermal test. According to ASUS, this laptop is made from military-grade metal that can withstand rigorous MIL STD 810H test. Wait, what? Apparently, test units have been exposed to drops, vibrations, humidity, as well as extreme temperatures to ensure reliability. However, while I personally cannot conduct that what STD test, I can attest that this laptop is pretty mantap. Cannot break one. This laptop weighs 2.3 kg, which is pretty standard for laptops with these specifications. Moving on to the keyboard, they say this keyboard can withstand over 20 million presses, but I ain't got time to test it, and you probably wouldn't keep track of it anyway, so The Chiclet keyboard has a detached numpad that comes with a customizable uniform RGB backlighting as well as translucent WASD keys, which I think is quite neat. I love how you can see the way the RGB is illuminating the keypad. Cause you know, I'm the RGB.
You trying to eat the laptop?
You asked me to wing like that, right? Next up, for the display or the screen, we have a 15.6-inch 1080p IPS panel with a 144Hz refresh rate and adaptive sync. This will help prevent screen tearing and give you a smoother gaming experience. If you want to connect to an external monitor to utilize that 2060 for multitasking, you can either use that USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port via DisplayPort 1.4 that supports G-Sync, or alternatively, you can just use the HDMI 2.0 port like everybody else. That was 9 Power by Hanyao, recorded about 2 feet away from the microphone. So yeah, that's how this laptop sounds. ASUS says these speakers are 1.8 times louder with a 2.7 times deeper bass than previous generations. It comes with a DTS:X Ultra technology, which they claim delivers a 7.1 channel virtual surround sound. Now, in stereo, these speakers sound pretty decent with a good amount of volume. However, don't expect that full-on 7.1 channel sound because at the end of the day, this is still just a laptop, okay? The webcam on this device is a 720p or HD. It's okay for video calling and maybe casual streaming, but it's not great. I guess at this point with the Verona Cryrus, it's more utility than anything else. A long time ago, the principal of my high school told us that the heart of education is the education of the heart. Doesn't that mean that the outside of the school is the school of the outside? Does it mean that Shane is a bangsawan, but then a bangsawan is also Shane? Right? In terms of connectivity, on the left side, we have the power port, the Ethernet port, a HDMI 2.0 slot, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports, and 1 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C with DisplayPort 1.4, which I mentioned just now, along with the 3.5mm audio jack. On the right side, we have a Kensington lock and 1 USB 2.0 Type A port that makes 3 total inputs for preferred peripherals. In terms of wireless connection, you have Wi-Fi 5 and not Wi-Fi 6, but that shouldn't be a problem for most people. And there's also Bluetooth 5.0, which is standard nowadays. In terms of specs, Pertamina the processor, we have the Ryzen 9 4900H CPU with 8 cores and 16 threads. It has a base clock of 3.3 GHz and a mass boost clock of up to 4.4 GHz. Moving on to the graphics cards, we have the Nvidia GeForce RTX 2060 with 6GB of GDDR6. Not forgetting about the memory, we have two 8GB of DDR4 rated at 3200 MHz RAM. Satoru's Neo for storage, we have one M.2 1TB PCIe Gen 3 SSD. It also comes with an additional M.2 slot, so you can add in another SSD if you want to. There is also a 2.5-inch HDD or SSD slot for you if you need even more storage. So I guess I'm done with my part, and I'm gonna leave all the important benchmark stuff to Shane when it comes back. And for now, I guess I'm done. So 3 days later. Hello, I'm Pruds. Pro Puds.
Oh, okay, so you are the pro. I go first.
Hey, don't laugh like that. Come on, please.
So what are we doing today?
Sorry. We are going to do the benchmarks right now, and
then?
I'm going to keep quiet because I'm not in the right position to do this. So Shane, silakan.
Teach you so many times, I also don't know. Okay, for benchmarks, first and foremost, we have synthetic benchmarks, and we're going to start it with Cinebench R20. It performed pretty well, especially in the multi-core department. And in 3D Mark Time Spy Extreme, which is the 4K version, it did pretty well because of the RTX 2060, and in the normal Time Spy also pretty solid numbers. In ADA 64 stability test, we ran it at 100% load for more than 15 minutes. In max cooling or turbo, it idled at 38 degrees, but then sustain was quite alarming at 100 degrees. But you know what, let's move on first. In auto cooling or in silent mode, it idled at 38 degrees as well, but the sustain was 96 degrees, a little bit lower, but still kind of hot. And these are the numbers for power consumption in turbo mode. The minimum was 2.7 watts, but it maxed out at 56.5 watts. Pretty okay. Moving on to gaming benchmarks. Firstly, we have Shadow of Tomb Raider at the highest settings with DLSS on, but RTX off. 1080p, it averaged out at 76 frames per second, which is very good. And then at 1440p, which is 2K, it got up to 59 frames per second, which is almost 60p. It's not 69, but it will suffice. Here are the numbers with RTX on, in case you're curious, since this laptop have RTX 2060. Next, we have Post Laju Malaysia Death Stranding at very high, DLSS on and RTX off. At 1080p, we got 90 frames Wow. And 1440p, we have 81 frames per second. How are they getting these numbers? I'm quite surprised actually. In terms of real-world benchmarks, we ran the same Adobe Premiere Pro benchmark as last time, and these are the numbers. It's actually pretty impressive. If you'd like to see how this laptop performed next to some other laptops that we tested before, feel free to check out our channel. We're not going to compare numbers, but you sure can.
As a conclusion, Shane Tan, what are your very valid opinions on this laptop?
Okay, give me. Let's talk about the pros first. First and foremost, you cannot deny that this is a pretty good looking laptop. And it comes in 2 colors, so you choose whatever is your pick. You know what takes the cake for me is actually the specs. At a measly 5899, for me it's very cheap, for you it's probably not. It comes with a very good Ryzen 9 4900H, which is very tokong. And then you have the RTX 2060, which is also very tokong. Combined, you're gonna get a very respectable productivity and gaming performance, no matter what you do. And then what's next that I like about it? The build quality is very solid. You can whack it,
Very
it
tough.
won't break. It's tough. It's very tough. Okay. Also, there's RGB. What's not to like? For the meh, like just now I told you, the specs are good for productivity and gaming, but the screen is kinda meh. For gaming, it's okay because there's 144Hz, but where it's meh at is the color accuracy. For a laptop at this price point, I would expect something slightly better lah. I don't expect like crazy good monitor, but if you give me a Ryzen 9 4900H, I expect to get an upgrade in the screen. Now I do understand that they released this laptop in lower processor configurations as well. For those, maybe this is okay, but for the top processor, which is the Ryzen 9 4900H, I would like to see an upgrade, if that's possible. And another meh is actually what?
The speakers.
Okay, it is there. If you need it, that's okay. But most people that use a laptop are probably going to use headphones and earphones anyway, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. And the final meh is actually the webcam. It is not a con because it's actually at least there. You know, it's like your dad that always work, don't have time for you, but at least he's there,
Wow.
right? You cannot call him a con.
Hit me right in the meow meow.
Oh. Finally, let's move to the cons because I don't want to con you. So what's the number one cons for this laptop?
Thermals.
Okay, frankly speaking, if you're gonna spend so much time to design a good looking laptop like this, I would assume that you should spend as much time to design the thermal solution to work for all your models and not just the lower end. I think with the lower end processors, maybe it wasn't a problem, but with the Ryzen 9 4900H and the 2060 inside, it got kinda hot, and I guess that's an understatement. It got pretty hot,
You know what? It would have been cooler if this laptop was cooler. Okay?
which is why for the verdict, I will give this laptop a 7 out of 10. If it was cooler, I give it more score. But guys, please don't just be fixated at the thermals. It is one of the biggest issues, but given the price, the specs, the battery life, and all that stuff, it is still a pretty good laptop, like considering that you're getting it with the Ryzen 9 at this price point, which is 5,899 ringgit. If you thought this video is awesome, don't forget to give us a like and share, and don't forget to go to ASUS page and kachao them to send me more stuff to review, and go to AMD's page to tell them how much of a good job I'm doing so that they know in case they forget. Leave a comment below if you're gonna buy this laptop or not. Just tell us why. How can they improve so that we can tell them for you. I'll see you in the next one. Again, who set the camera so far away? How to close this lens? Can you tell me? Can you?
Okay, zoom in.
You
Okay, nearer already, right?
can reach now.
Nearer a bit.
Still cannot.
Nearer a bit.
I send my parts and come and bite you.